Good evening and welcome to Aberdeen Sports Village here in Scotland for live coverage of the Netball Europe Open Challenge and Under-21 Championships. We're brought live to you this evening exclusively by QTV Sports in association with Inspire Sports and Visit Aberdeenshire. I'm Lynn Carpenter and I'll be your guide to this first of 4 action-packed days of live coverage from the Under-21 Championship with England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales, and also from the Open Challenge Cup, featuring some of our developing nations, Israel, Gibraltar and the Republic of Ireland. And I'm really pleased to be able to welcome the team from Bermuda, who will be taking part here in the region for the first time as part of our invitational section. Let's take a look at what's coming up later. So tomorrow sees the start of the invitational and Under-21 Championship sections. 5 matches across all 8 competing teams. Friday is going to be a big day. But first, our match this evening is the start of the challenge section between Gibraltar and Israel. I'm delighted to be joined in the commentary box by somebody who needs no introduction, Maggie Jackson, former England player, former England coach, and currently the Netball Europe Director of Technical Section. Maggie, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
So we've been here before. I think it's about 18 months ago we were last here being hosted by Netball Scotland in the Aberdeen Sports Village. What's happened since then, sort of globally from a netball perspective and here in the region, would you say?
Well, back in October 2015 we obviously hosted the under-21s in the championship sections, which was very exciting. And since then we've been in Newcastle and we've held a very, very exciting open competition there where we had Grenada invited, America, plus all our Netball Europe teams, including Israel for the first time for a long while. So I think we're finding a lot of our Netball Europe countries really wanting to participate, really wanting to improve their rankings, which obviously every time they go out there and play, that's what they're aiming for.
And having teams like, you mentioned Grenada in the USA, Bermuda this time, what does that add to the competition here for our teams?
Oh, I mean, it adds just a different culture, different styles of play, particularly for the challenge section. In the first 2 years of any World Cup cycle, we really look at the challenge section and give the opportunities to those players. But from then on is the championship. But yeah, brings a style of play that we don't often see.
And of course, Netball Europe is run and supported by volunteers, and many of our Netball Scotland players here are the same. We're just about to start the game. The teams have been introduced onto the court. Our umpires are about to take charge of the match. So we're almost ready. Now remember, even though you might be at home watching, you can still join the action. Remember the hashtag #NELoveNetball. Send us a message and we'll do our best between Maggie and I to read out some of your comments during the game. Maggie, final thought on this game?
I mean, Gibraltar ranked 32, Israel are one of the rated teams, so I'm anticipating Gibraltar probably giving Israel quite a good challenging match, but they're both going to be nervous, so let's just see how it pans out.
So early interception there by Gibraltar. Israel got it back. Gibraltar open the scoring against the flow of the centre pass.
Yes, you've got Anna Pozo at goal attack there, one of the youngest players in the Gibraltar team, age 17, scoring that first shot.
Haven't we seen her before in the under-17s for Gibraltar?
Yeah, absolutely right, Lynn. She was actually named Netball Europe Player of the Tournament recently, and looks like she's just steadied herself very, very well playing in the senior squad, scoring one and passing off the shooter in the other.
So a strong start by Gibraltar. You're saying that on paper these two teams, Gibraltar probably has slightly more experience. Israel haven't played that many times internationally, but here they are again.
Yeah, and you can't fault Israel. They came last year from Newcastle. They're here now. They've now got onto the scoring sheet, which is terrific. They're really wanting. They've got to play 8 games to start being thought of as being ranked. And so it's very, very important that they're getting these international games and Netball Europe, I think, welcome them into any of these tournaments.
Very good rebound there by goal shooter from Gibraltar. Takes the score to 3-1.
Super rebound from Rivegno, the goalkeeper for Gibraltar, allowing Gibraltar now to set up their attack.
We've got some experienced players here in the Gibraltar side, haven't we? Their captain, Changfoot, who's on at goalkeeper, has played for a number of years for them.
Yes, yeah, and really making sure that they she's leading by example for that one.
So a bit of a gap opening up here. 5-1 at the moment to Gibraltar. Only the first 3 minutes of the tournament.
Super quick hands though, isn't it, by the Israelis? They're going to have very, very little competition in Israel, so this is the kind of competition. It's going to take them a while to acclimatise this intensity.
I'm talking about their rating rather than their ranking, which is what you were saying. Presumably for countries like Israel to come to a weekend like this and get all of those matches will really help. And do they not have to have, I think it's 8 ranking games in a year to get back into the INF ranking system?
Yes, they've got to be able to play 8 games, and they had 6 games last year, and this is their next opportunity. So it's really, a lot of finance has got to go into it to be able to keep them supported.
And as we say quite frequently in Netball Europe, many of these teams and many of these players don't have the luxury of governing bodies of sport or sports councils. They fund all of this themselves, which makes their standard of play that much more remarkable.
Yes, you've got Gibraltar, and we'll talk a little bit more about that another day. I think how much support financially they get from their government. Terrific sport, but the amount of work that the Gibraltar Netball Association do within their own island is phenomenal, and they really are progressing well. Courtney Ferrer at the shooting for Gibraltar is really linking in well with Pozo, and it's now 8-2.
Well, she's another young player, the goal shooter. She's only 20, so 2 of the youngest Gibraltarians are on the court at the moment.
So fortunate that line there for Israel.
So interesting that both teams here tonight, we have sisters on both sides.
Yeah. The Marino sisters are a very familiar sight for Gibraltar, I think, having been brought up through the age groups. They're finding the top edge of the circle really well, which is being that feed into Ferrer has been made very easy.
And good shooting by the 2 there, goal attack, goal shooter. Israel captain there, Changfoot, who's one of their most experienced players. I think she's back recently from injury, so
yes,
fought hard to get back.
Yeah. Great turnover by Joelle Marino there, centre.
Now both teams arrived here in Aberdeen yesterday. Both come from weather that's slightly warmer than we're experiencing up here.
Yes, I understand it was 90 degrees in Israel when they left. Just somewhat different from Aberdeen's temperature. Having said that, it's not been too bad up in Aberdeen today.
And they've certainly received a very warm welcome here from Netball Scotland, the Aberdeen Netball Association, as well as Aberdeen City Council and Visit Aberdeenshire, who've helped support the event this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we always get this warm welcome, and Netball Scotland are so professional and so good at putting on these events with their experience at World Youth Cup and also Commonwealth Games. They really have got the expertise both on the backbench officials and in putting on an event. And the Aberdeen Sports Village, fantastic. If anybody gets the opportunity to come to Aberdeen, they should come to this facility. It's superb.
Great vision there by Israel centre, spotting the goal attack under the post. That's Nomi Komar, one of the two sisters for Israel. Pleased to put that one away. Score pulling away a little bit from Israel in this quarter. 11-4 at the moment, halfway through the first quarter here. First game of 14 this weekend. And of course, Gibraltar are not only being successful on the court, Maggie, but in officiating.
Yes, I mean, Nadine Pardo-Samet and her sister is the assistant coach for the Gibraltar, so the two of them are very involved. But she's just been awarded the International Talent Identified umpire status, which we can talk about perhaps a bit later, but it's a tremendous achievement, the first umpire to get that in Gibraltar. She's got 4 years now to be mentored and supported in order to try and aim to be an international umpire. And we'll be watching Nadine tomorrow umpiring one of the other international matches. Lovely, good quick hands.
Yeah, I think we were both going to say the same there. Gibraltar moving the ball around well. I think it's just taken Israel just a bit of time to settle into the pace of the game they're seeing.
Yes, it's there's the ball handling, some of the passing. They're not expecting the Gibraltarians to read some of that passing, and hence it's putting pressure on their ball handling.
She did well to hold onto that one. And Nomi Komar takes it to 5 for Israel. Speaking of Netball Scotland, Maggie, obviously we're here at the Aberdeen Sports Village this weekend. Scotland have their Sirens, their Super League team as well, which I understand are playing on Monday night down in Edinburgh, and I think many of the bench officials we see here this evening are also going to be down there on Monday. So it's a big ask of volunteers in our sport, not only here sort of regionally but globally.
Yes, I think the whole of the national governing body of Scotland are involved in both Sirens and putting on this event. And as you say, the volunteers, they're playing 7 Stars on Monday night, so it's going to be all go. And it is very hard, but I think Scotland are really working hard at developing, and I understand that their affiliations have really increased this year, and the membership. And it has to be because they're seeing their role models on the TV and have the opportunity to go and see Sirens playing in both Edinburgh and Glasgow.
And of course the live streaming opportunity this weekend will hopefully inspire more people to want to come and play like here. And for Gibraltar and Israel, who don't get a chance to compete, actually for their friends and family back home to be able to watch the match now live going out. I was trying to work out earlier, are Israel 4 hours ahead of us at the moment or 3 hours?
I need to do my research on that one then. I will find that out. I can imagine though Moira Gomez at Gibraltar now watching this live stream.
I'm sure Moira will be there, definitely. Big shout out to you, Moira. Well done there by Segev. Goal defence for Israel. She's also a volunteer. When we held the Netball Europe Council out in Israel a number of years ago, I think it was 2014 now, I'm sure Judy Ackney will correct me if I'm wrong, Tal was there setting up the IT, supporting the weekend. And again, it's that sense of volunteers don't just do one thing in netball. We all try to commit as much as we possibly can. And clearly you and I, who weren't expecting to do this weekend, so if you love the commentating tonight, it's Lynn and Maggie, and if you don't, we'll find some other names to say who we are this evening. So with 3.5 minutes on the clock to go, Gibraltar really have stolen a lead now, 17-5.
Yeah, that was good vision there, looking. Goalkeeper really wanted to go on that one, but didn't. But well done to the goal attack for Israel. Being given those shooting opportunities and taking it to 6.
And of course, for some of the players here this weekend, this will potentially be their first opportunity at international competition. And the whole event is run just like one of the international, either World Youth Cup or World Cup itself. Ice baths for the players afterwards, the professional lining up, and everything that goes with it. So it might be a new experience for them in that regard.
Yeah, it is a very new experience for some of them, and it's nerve-wracking. They've had training this morning. Watched Israel training first thing this morning. Gibraltar trained after them, and yeah, exactly what you would do with any international: surface training in the morning and competing in the evening. I think Gibraltar will be looking, as they're ranked 32, they'll be looking at what can they do against the Republic of Ireland, who are ranked 24 at the moment, and I think that's a game that they will be aspiring to see if they can narrow the gap that they did not achieve last year in Newcastle. Good pressure by Gibraltar there off the back line, but
the speed of their handwork and their passing has really improved in Gibraltar from even just a couple of years ago. So the coaching structures and everything that they're doing and their pathways which are developing. We talked about support. I know that if Gibraltar Netball Association were here, they would be giving a big thanks to their sports council back home and the sports minister, some of whom we've known over the years in Netball Europe, who've really helped support the sport down there and seen it grown significantly.
Yes, I think sport, I've only been to Gibraltar once, but I just felt the enthusiasm and the passion for sport down there enormous, and their first minister came and presented the trophies. You don't always see that amount of interest. And I also think Gibraltar would be thanking Netball Scotland as well, because they've been buddied up, and Netball Scotland have been over there to assist them within coaching structures, and I think a big applause to Netball Scotland for that buddying within the Netball Europe region.
So as we say, competitors off the court, but friends for life off it. And here we are, last 50 seconds of this first quarter. 10-goal gap now. See if Gibraltar sink another one. And Amy Poser has no problem with that, very confident young player.
Yeah, and she's got a good change of direction, a good change of speed. And you saw there the goal shooter coming out and giving Pozo the room under the post.
Good rebound there by Changfoot. Just an out of court. I think it's perhaps difficult for the players if they haven't been on this surface before, just getting used to the size from the rules and things. Here we go, last few seconds in this quarter. And at the end of that first quarter here at the Netball Europe event this weekend, Gibraltar take a resounding lead, 20 goals to Israel's 8. Maggie, what's your comments about the first 15 minutes?
I think Gibraltar, I'm sure Sarah Pius will be pleased with what Gibraltar did in that first 15 minutes. They'll be looking for a really, really focused win, and that's the important one. I'm sure she'll be wanting to use her bench in different ways, very purposefully, getting the different units. But it is important for them to really lay out a huge score, I think, on this one. I think from Israel's point of view, I think 8 goals, then they were good scoring. There was quite a few from outside the circle. You had one of the sisters, Naomi Komar, really taking some long shots there as well. So I think Israel should be quite pleased with that from that point of view. I think they perhaps now need to really start looking to lose their play a little bit more, so we can actually pass some more feasible balls that aren't going to be tipped.
And we were talking earlier that both teams here tonight have 2 sets of sisters.
Yeah.
So in Gibraltar we have Joelle Marino and Janice Marino, centre wing attack, the other way around how I introduced it. And Israel has Naomi Kamar, who is the goal attack you were referencing, and her sisters playing Raheli out at wing attack. So I wonder how that would be. I wonder if I had a sister and I was playing with her, how that would go. Whether because you're related, you have a better understanding on the court, or a bit of sibling sort of rivalry there.
I should imagine you've got some honesty going on the court sometimes, I would imagine. But I think, no, I don't know the Comans quite so well, but the Marinos, they seem very, very close. I had them at a Netball Europe coach education workshop quite recently, and lots of enthusiasm, very blunt speaking, but really, really passionate about netball. And there's families galore in Gibraltar, and I think it's the same in Israel, that the whole family gets involved.
And I think that's what we've seen over the years. We've, obviously have one of the Netball Europe Management Board volunteers is from Israel and been really supportive of everything we've done. Judy, there are people in Israel who say not only support netball, but some of the families there have sons in basketball, which is very big there in Israel. And it's that whole kind of concept around family support for those who are involved in sport. We see that to a great extent in the UK, and we know particularly that a lot of the young players who are coming through, we talk a lot about it, our under-17s and under-21s. A lot of these players wouldn't be where they were without that family support. So it's not only the support that volunteers give here, but it's also that absolutely essential role that families and parents and that kind of community play to get players to this. And I think sometimes we don't always recognise that as much as we should do.
No, we have to acknowledge it. In my experience within the England structure, it just can't happen without carers, parents, family, and siblings. So it's essential that, and they give up so much. And I think that's the case all over the world, really, with international netball. That most of these girls would have come through where their families have really supported them, and perhaps gone without in some cases. Just because of the distance and the travel that they've had to make. You see, and interesting enough, there's quite a few Gibraltarians here supporting as well in the crowd, which is super. I don't think the camera can pick it up, but I'm watching Nadine, the umpire that we talked about, talking with the Gibraltar delegates.
Yeah, Suzette Galligan there, who's been to many Netball Europe events and councils over the years. So it is that sense of, we talk about a netball family, and sometimes you think we say it a bit glibly generally, but I really do believe that. Netball's a community all its own, and it's one that reaches across the world. It almost doesn't matter where you go in the world, you can plug into netball somewhere locally and feel part of a local community.
Absolutely.
So here we go again, the second quarter of the first game here at the Netball Europe event at the Aberdeen Sports Village. Gibraltar are leading Israel 20 goals to 8. Maggie, we're just looking down there, seeing if any of the two teams have made any changes this early in the match. I think we're a little bit away from the bench down there. We need to get a
runner going.
A runner in place, which won't be either of you or I, hopefully.
Looking, I don't think there has been any changes, but we will let you know if we hear.
So good play again by Gibraltar, using the triangle to best effect, getting the ball into their shooter Farah under the post. So some real confident early moves by the attack in Gibraltar there.
Both teams playing very much man-to-man, really trying to dictate and restrict the space. However, that was a great vision by Joel Moreno actually there from the centre, marking one player and then looking to try and take the diagonal pass.
Another goal for Israel. Nomith scored there, taking it to 9. Their core strength has really developed as well, to be able to control the ball in the way they're doing, not lose balance on the edge of the circle, and again confidently put the ball away.
Yes, I mean, for a young 17-year-old playing her first senior cap and first senior international, doing extremely well for Gibraltar.
Very good interception there by one of the Marino sisters, Joelle. And of course, as we said earlier, Amy Poser was the under-17 player of the tournament. There'll be both of those categories again today or over the weekend. And it's worth reminding ourselves that it's the coach of the opposing team who votes for the best player of the opposition.
Yep, and that's just sent to the appeals panel, and then they make that final decision, do the adding up. If there's a draw, then the appeals panel. So from the point of view of the appeals panel, they're also looking and making their own decision just in case of the final draw.
Good interception there by Victoria Cross.
Yeah, she's been very good attacking centre pass. She's had a real play in it, has Victoria Cross, and similarly defensively. She's made 2 or 3 key interceptions in the first quarter. And here we go again. It's always nice when you just mention a player and then they, even though it was a bit of a gift, they pick the ball off.
Israel is struggling slightly to see the space on the court with the tight marking Gibraltar are doing.
I think it's important for the coaching team with Gibraltar just to ensure they keep demanding that little bit more. The feed in there was just a little bit 50-50, and I think that's the kind of thing now it's important to keep making sure that Gibraltar are giving quality passes and feeds.
A bit of a late takeoff there by Raheli Kumar. I think when a game scoreline like we have now, Gibraltar 26, Israel 9, still 10 minutes of the second quarter to go, it's important, as you're saying, that the coaches focus really clearly on their own goals and objectives that they've set and ensure that their players deliver it and don't perhaps get distracted by the scoreline and what the opposition are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were just talking then, Lynn, there were 2 changes made, but 1 from each team.
So Israel has brought on a new wing attack. So joining the game is Kami Kaplinski, and Gibraltar has brought on their new goal defence, who is Okana. So Linalia Okana. So Gibraltar perhaps feeling that they weren't quite getting the defensive end tight enough, and the attacking goal shooter for Gibraltar having a little bit too much space there in that circle.
Yes, I think they probably didn't like the fact that 8 goals had been let in that first quarter, which I would say is quite significant, and well done to Israel. Well played by the Israeli defence. The Israeli goal defence are doing a good job actually in there. May have scored 26 goals, but they are causing them a little bit of trouble, and it's now up to the shooters to really see if we can get a little bit of more rotation going. That's a shame. Israel really caused Gibraltar a few problems then, but sadly just could not keep the ball in the court.
The great thing about a weekend of netball like this is teams will go away tonight, and whilst it's only tomorrow they'll play again, and some of the teams in the challenge section will be playing 2 games in one day. It does give them that opportunity to come back and have another go quite quickly and to put into practice what the coaches are saying to them from the previous day.
Yeah, and in some cases they're going to play the same opponents twice, and the score line from a point system is going to be based on the second game they play. It's not possible for everybody to be playing twice against each other, but that will really show if they've learnt something from the first game. So you'll find that Israel and Bermuda will be playing each other twice, and it's the second game that counts, as the score counts. So a lot of learning from the first game, I'm sure, tomorrow.
Very good pressure by Israel there, as you were saying.
Yeah, I think they're doing a good job, and I think Gibraltar's attack have just got a little bit, dare I say, lazy in their movement, and they just need to keep that refinement and those tight moves going. They need to stand still a little bit in that circle, thinking that they can get the ball. And again, Israel deserve that turnover.
So halfway through this second quarter here at Aberdeen Sports Village, Gibraltar still leading Israel, score 27-10. This quarter's not been quite as sort of effective for either team, really, Maggie. They're both not getting into their flow a little bit.
This second quarter has just been a little bit messy. Gibraltar again. The umpires are doing more up and down and more beat tests than the players at the moment. It'd be really good now if we can just. Israel can get. Israel need to just calm down, control their feet, and aim to get a shooting opportunity. Should be everybody's aim. Yeah, super read of the ball by the goalkeeper for Gibraltar. And O'Connor now in the action, bringing the ball through the court. There's no doubt about it that Joel Marino at centre is a little mini steering that mid quarters and always being available. But again, no shot. And I'm sure Sarah Pius, for Gibraltar head coach, is not going to be a happy coach at the moment, and we'll have plenty to say at half time. But again, Victoria Cross coming in and taking the tip. Now Joel Marino says easy. That means let's take control and let's get the ball down to the post and a shooting opportunity. Now we need some movement, but the shooter needs to get in under that post for a rebound.
Pozo took the drive on the baseline there, created space.
Yeah, she really has a lovely change of direction.
While you were talking there about the Gibraltar coach, I just had a quick look down and there was some head shaking going on down there.
It's good that we can't lip read from the back, isn't it? Yeah, super. That was. Marina definitely is giving everything to the team.
But that was really a case of the defence all the way down the court, putting pressure on each of the passes to the point that they created the opportunity for the intercept from Gibraltar's perspective.
Yeah, I always say if you've got a decent wing attack, goal attacker can defend. Remember those days, Lynn? Then
I was hoping you might mention me.
And then very often the defence feel very much better about themselves.
I think the Israel shooters will feel a little bit disappointed this quarter. They've only put 2 away so far. It doesn't really reflect the number of turnovers that they've had in their team. I think they probably will want to look at this when they rewatch the video back later.
Yeah, they need to really just settle it and just not be quite in a hurry to feed the shooters. It's the mid-quarters really that need to steady themselves a little bit more. Yeah, well played, Israel. Now we need to steady ourselves. Set it across. The wing attack needs to get up the court. At the moment, she's in the defending end. We need to get her down the court and give her confidence for the mid-quarters to bring it down. Well done. Yeah, we talk about the ball coming down with snow on it sometimes. Just need to keep the ball a little bit flatter. But that was a super move. Well played. Good triangle used around the circle edge. Rivigno's really making those rebounds her own at the back there. Good experienced player.
They've got a real blend of youth and experience in the Gibraltar side this weekend.
Yeah, I think they've worked really hard actually in just the period of time I've got to know, been working with Netball Europe and getting to know Gibraltar. There is this real strategic look at looking at the age groups and ensuring that they've got succession planning as well.
There was Victoria Cross again, in for another intercept.
Yeah, she's quietly dominating that back end, that wing defence. Well played, Robin Ginsberg. Nice play at wing defence. In Gibraltar play the triangles, it does work.
So that goal takes Gibraltar to 30 with just under 3 minutes of this quarter remaining till we reach half time. They're just not getting that final ball into the circle as cleanly as they were in the first quarter, Gibraltar.
No. And Changfoot really has taken some very good turns and interceptions and is dominating at the goalkeeper for Israel. Yeah, well played. Well done, Israel. Good use of the 3 players.
I'll be pleased with that one. Sometimes Israel just not anticipating the reach of the Gibraltar defenders and how they're reading the ball and angling their body in defence to really be able to almost look like the pass is on, but it clearly isn't.
No. And I think that's the difference with competition and trying to improve the competition in each country, isn't it? That if you're not used to it, you do get into habits which you're not aware that actually Gibraltar are going to take those interceptions.
It's like we talk about in performance all the time. For these players to be the best they can be on the court, it relies on the umpires to be the best they can, for the bench officials, for the facilities, for the support they get on and off the court, for the coaches. So it really is a huge team effort to get the best out of the 14 players out there.
Yeah, and the rules say now you need obviously a qualified physio, you need to have shown evidence, which is what Netball Europe have asked for. And Gibraltar and Israel have brought over their physiotherapists, and I know they've been working hard with them, and it's, as you've mentioned about the strength and conditioning, it's about trying to improve the training and managing their bodies under this kind of duress.
So here we go, we're into the last 40 seconds of this first half of the game. Israel will be disappointed only putting 3 on the scoreboard this quarter.
But equally, I think Gibraltar will be disappointed that they haven't managed to score more than they have.
And actually what Israel will take from that quarter is their defence. It's been quite effective.
Yeah.
Come out really strong at quarter time. Good hands there by goal defence for Gibraltar. Akanya. And there we have it, half-time here at the Aberdeen Sports Village. Netball Europe first game of the 14 this weekend. Gibraltar 31 goals against Israel 11. So Maggie, 8-minute break now for these players. What are the coaches going to be saying to them, do you think?
I would imagine in Gibraltar end it will be about actually using the whole of the attacking end. I wonder if Sarah might make some changes within that top 4 just to add a little bit more movement by the shooter. And the goal attack, I think Pozo's doing very, very well. I think we just need that. We need to take care of the ball a little bit and be a little bit more demanding of each other. I think defensively, their rebounding has been excellent, and I think we've talked about Victoria Cross bringing the ball and turning over. I think from the point of view of Israel, I think it's about when they catch the ball, they take a little bit longer to turn, and then they're looking to pass. And by that time, Gibraltar are marking, so they're just got to wait for Israel just to change direction again. And I think if they can ask the players to do that, then I think they'll be able to progress the ball down to the circle edge and feed. Because they'll be wanting to put more shots. That first quarter, putting 8 shots on the board was good.
I think it looks like we're going to see some changes, certainly from Israel there. They're potentially bringing on some new players.
Yes, they've got Israel have got 2 fairly experienced coaches, actually, both not originating from Israel, but obviously living there now. And Lexi represented Israel a number of times, and she's originally from Australia. And you've got Shan, who actually spoke on Scottish television this morning, and which was on the news this afternoon, which was great, real personality, and they work very well together as players and now as coaches. So it's great. Shan played actually for the Open team for Israel last year in Newcastle.
And we're hoping to persuade her to come up to the commentating box at some point this weekend. I think she'll have some really interesting views on the world in developing countries, and Israel in particular, but also some of the teams that they're competing against.
Yeah, and she's a real live one. I mean, she'll be great fun to have. You'll have a lot of fun with her, having experienced her this morning.
I won't have to say anything. I've been warned that she can talk for hours, which will be great.
Yeah, it is interesting. You talk about Israel. I was chatting to Judy Acknin actually this morning, and she was saying how there's a game over in Israel called Mummanet, and which is nothing to do with netball. And of course, everybody gets confused, and it's a little bit like catch volleyball. It's a bit how when I used to introduce volleyball at school, you get them to catch it before they send it back over the net. It's something similar, and it's very supported out there. And I think Israel are having a real challenge to try and get netball more and more recognised, but using the same word has become a little bit confusing. So I'm sure that's worth a question to ask Shan when she speaks with you.
And of course, we know our colleagues in Israel play in the Maccabea Games. I can't remember if that's every 2 years, I think it is, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely happening this year.
Okay. So an opportunity here this weekend to learn from the experience and go back. I think they did really well a couple of years ago, so I think they came away with silver, I believe. Did really well in the tournament.
Yeah, I think it's an exciting one. It's one where I know several coaches have gone over there and developed their own coaching knowledge and experience in that kind of environment as well. So, and umpires too. So it's I know that Alan Anderson, one of our Netball Europe directors, has been in charge of getting advice and recruiting umpires for that particular competition.
And of course, for those of you who are watching back home, you can join in the action. Don't forget, you can send us your messages on our Twitter account, #NELoveNetball, and we'll try to read some of them out. Big thanks to our friends at Courtside Comments, Laura and Lee, who will be writing up the match reports from the game. So if you missed the game and you're going to wait to catch up on the Netball Europe YouTube channel in the catch-up after the event, at least you'll be able to see some of the match write-ups during the actual competition itself. So it looks like we've got quite a lot of activity on Twitter, Maggie, not surprisingly. Quite a few people following from Gibraltar and Israel, which is great. Just trying to see if Moira's tweeted us. See, we can even talk the language, can't we? Even though we're of the age that we are. Isn't that amazing?
Anybody knows me, Lynn, I'm miles behind you.
Well, I had to have a masterclass when we set up our Twitter account 2 years ago. Shouldn't be admitting all of this, should we, really? No. Gibraltar Netball is helpfully texting us and asking for the hashtag for the tournament. Yep. Goal shooter for Gibraltar, Courtney Ferrer, and goal attack, Amy Pozo, both under 21.
Excellent.
Which is what we thought, both young players doing extremely well in the competition. Now it's interesting to see, one of the things you look for in performance, Maggie, and particularly with your experience, is the court craft and what's happening with the teams on the side in between the match time. And it's always interesting to see how both teams deal with it. And you've got Israel, and I'm not sure how much the people back at home watching can see, but Israel very much sitting in the order you'd expect, still having conversations, still very much focused. Half the Gibraltar team seem to have disappeared down this end.
Probably hitting the loo, I would imagine, at this point in time. Or in some cases, what you often have is just going out, stretching and doing a little bit more, especially if they're bringing on some other players. I know you watch now, but the half times are so much longer than they used to be. Very often when you watch the Super League teams, they're going back to the changing rooms and speaking. And then they also come out and they then do a group practice or something equivalent.
And of course, again, what the camera probably can't see is down by the side of the court here, we've got 2 bikes for the teams to warm up on. So that whole kind of making sure you're ready to go on the court, and 8 minutes is a long time, isn't it? When you think about the preparation the players go through to get on the court in the first place, before the game starts. And then, you know, if you're on the bench, you get a few minutes to warm up before each quarter. Half time, you've got 8 minutes to contend with. There's that kind of psychology then starts to play in. If you're a shooter, are your shots going in? Nobody's taken to the post to put any shots up, which is interesting.
It is. Every player is different. And it's one of the jobs you do as a coach, really, is to find out how do people prepare, how do they warm up, what do they need, and it's not going to be the same. They've got to work within a team, otherwise I always say you might as well go and play tennis. But however, you, as individuals, some of them will want to go, some shooters won't want to go to the post, some will, some need the bike, some need just to sit quietly. Awful lot of different individual approaches, which I find fascinating, but you can't do it when you get to the competition. It's the kind of preparation you need to do a lot of, but very important. And I know that Sarah Pius in Gibraltar will know those players very well, and similarly Israel, very well organised out there. There's reserves listening in, no distractions at all.
So here we go, start of the second half here at the Aberdeen Sports Village. We have Gibraltar leading the game by 31 to Israel's 11. I think there's been some changes, so we'll wait for the formal confirmation from the bench officials, which we think are on their way up. Israel start the centre pass.
Yes, we've got another one of the Marino sisters on. Keisha Marino coming in at wing attack.
Friend, not
Friend.
sister.
Friend. I need to remember that.
3 Marinos, 2 sisters, 1 friend.
So new goalkeeper Israel. Yeah, lovely vision by the centre there for Israel. Yeah, well played. Immediately, Gibraltar will be disappointed that they didn't get that shooting opportunity after that turnover. Well marked by Israel.
Seconds. Very positive start to this quarter by Israel. Quite a few changes in the Gibraltar team as well. We'll just wait for official confirmation of those. We've still got Farah and Pozo there though in goal shooter and goal attack for Gibraltar. So as you can probably see, Israel brought on a new goal defence. So Changfoot's back out to goal defence from when she's got goalkeeper. And we also have Young on the court as well for Israel. Gibraltar have rung the changes. So we have Keisha Marino at wing attack, friend and not sister. Okianya has gone back to goalkeeper. Sampera is on at goal defence. And Neta Gomez now at wing defence. So far this quarter, Israel 2, Gibraltar 0. Another strong defensive performance there by Israel. Just a little bit too much ambition on that one.
Yeah, they just need to be a little bit more patient, because actually they've got some other options. The goal attack could have come out there. I think Israel just need to not just give the one option all the time.
Just a bit of doubt creeping in there in the understand between Farah and Poser, not quite where it was in the first quarter.
No, I don't quite understand why. They just seem to just stop the movement a little bit, and I think the mid-quarters just mustn't pass to people that they think they should. They should just actually see where the space is, or pass it around, pass it back to the third line and start again. Shame really, because actually the Israel goal attack was very, very unlucky in order not to take possession of that good visible ball. Just needed to use their core strength a little bit and bend that landing leg.
Yeah, it's one of the unforced errors. Coach is really not keen on, not received in the centre pass. Surprising possibly for Gibraltar.
Yeah.
But then you've got new players out there in some of the key positions, perhaps haven't quite gelled yet.
Yeah, and again, you've got to remember they've got nerves as well. They're just getting rid of the nerves in the first few minutes. It's how you manage your nerves, I think, is the most important thing.
Just not quite reading the movement of the player, putting the ball behind rather than...
Yes, because it was a nice move by Poser then. She was free. You always say defensively, try not to give away those pointless contacts, because actually they had them all pinned down there, and then as soon as you give a contact away, no chance, she was never going to get that ball. And it's important to keep the opposition nailed.
I think it's what you were talking about earlier, wasn't it? That actually the defensive players on the court start to go shooter when you lose the ball and have to put pressure all the way back. It might not be the attacking players who get the interception, but that discipline allows the wing defence, go defence and goalkeeper more of a chance.
Exactly, and you get more and more frustrated. That was a good tip by Neto, who's replaced Cross in Gibraltar at wing defence. Nice rebound by Ferrer then. Good, should be pleased with that shot, I think, to give a bit more confidence again. As you said earlier on, Lynn, they're both very young and it's just about building.
It's funny,
lovely vision.
As shooters, sometimes it's the smallest thing that can just start to affect your confidence in what you're doing on the court and the way you're playing. And it's almost important to be able to talk to yourself in that 15 minutes, because the coach can't do anything in that time. You've got to have some internal tools in your toolkit, I guess.
Yeah,
to know what to do.
It is. I mean, it's the most pressurised, in my view, the area of the court, and it is important. You have to internalise it. You've got to have either key trigger words or key points that you will say to yourself.
So now we're just about halfway through this third quarter. Quite low scoring this quarter. It's only 5-2 now.
Yeah.
But again, you know, you've got to give credit to Israel overall on the court. They're keeping the scoring rate of Gibraltar down.
Yeah, they're doing well. I was until that point, just then, when Joelle threw the ball away. I said, I thought Gibraltar just started to settle, because the last two goals. Ooh. I think Robin Ginsberg was a little bit lucky on that one.
No, I don't think it was deliberate. I think she's quite surprised.
Yeah.
She got to it in some respects. That was good pressure. Gomez Neto is the player we've seen. Neto Gomez. Sorry. Player we've seen for Gibraltar over a number of years. You know, it's an example of keeping it simple.
It is, and they can do it. I think just got to, as you said, just the centre court, just got to link a little bit better with the shooters, because actually the shooters are now beginning to find their space in the circle. Have the confidence to put the shot up. Goal attack for Israel, I think, is quite a smart player, very smart player, in the sense of she's able to take some of those overheads quite
her timing on the jump's very good, isn't it?
Yeah.
Considering she doesn't have a lot of height in there, but she uses what she does have to really good effect. And you can see her thinking about the movement in and around the circle all the time.
Yeah, she's definitely dominating that circle from the point of view, and the shooter is working off her. Yeah, very clever. And always smiling, always laughing. And I've noticed at the intervals, as they go back on court, she's supporting the new players going onto the court for the first time.
Good movement there by Bozo again, and puts the goal away. So we're 5 minutes left, just over remaining in this quarter.
As we talk about the goal attack for Israel, she was actually unanimously voted by all teams in Newcastle last year at the Open as being the most valuable player. So she's taking off she's taking on where she left off last year. Really, she is definitely having an impact on this game when given an opportunity.
Quite an accolade to be voted most valuable player by all the teams in that regard, in that way.
Yes. And I would imagine she's a pretty good leader somewhere on there as well.
So 40 Gibraltar, 15 to Israel.
So watching up here, the Gibraltarians are off to warm up. 4 minutes to go. You'd normally expect the whole of the substitution bench really needing to warm up.
Quite interesting. I was looking down to both benches. It's definitely not the case for all the players, is it? I think if you were a coach, you'd have them all up and running or cycling or...
Sadly, yes. It's just important to keep them prepared. And actually, you find now, when I watch many of the Super League games, you find that they're actually going at 5-minute intervals, some of them, to get up. Because, you're sitting there for 15 minutes. That's a heck of a long time to be sitting still. So it's getting up, working out what you need to do, and then coming back onto the bench.
And it's not just the physical preparation, and it's sort of recognise how the game's moved on in that regard, but how do the players who are sitting there on the bench keep themselves psychologically switched into the game, that any moment there might be an injury and then they're on?
Absolutely. And of course now with the rules the last couple of years, there's a 30-second literally maximum, and you're on. So there's no chance of having a couple of minutes think about it. The coach has got to make quick decisions, as do the players have to be ready. So you very often find now with the bibs, we've got a double set of bibs, so it's got to be very, very quick and slick now. That
must add quite a lot of sort of pressure and a new dimension for coaches as well, trying to think about that, the 30 seconds and how the game has changed through that rule change itself.
I think it's immense. I think it really has changed. It's changing the game all the time.
I'm hoping that over the course of this weekend, Gary Burgess, who's well known to many as one of our international umpires here in the region, will be joining us shortly when his flight from Norwich finally gets in. And Gary will not only be commentating this weekend, but he will take an opportunity to talk about the rules, which I think might be quite helpful.
Yeah, I think it's very important, and he's now working in the netball in his role as umpiring manager as well. So definitely the person to ask. Umpired many World Cup and Commonwealth Game finals, but let's hope he's out of Norwich now. Not stuck in an airport.
Another good passage of defence. Sviv play by Israel.
Yeah, mustn't keep forcing it over to the goal attack. Got to wait and see, make sure she's lost or off balance the goal defence before they feed that ball.
So the umpire just calling time there.
Yeah, very well played by the Gibraltar goal defence.
tempting that ball to come over the top, and not only she got sort of a slight height advantage, but actually her reading and positioning in there is really effective. And down the other end, anything you can do?
Yep, and Changfoot comes out at goal defence and really took the ball well.
A good shot there by Ferrer to take Gibraltar to 45-16. We've got a 30-game gap now here almost. Doesn't quite reflect the play in the last two quarters, does it? I think the first quarter Gibraltar really came out strong, but not quite as decisive since then.
No, a little bit messy on occasions, and Gibraltar every now and again, I think, yes, they're getting back into a groove, which, I mean, just that move just then and that showed that. And then they covered too many unforced errors, really, in my book. Now it's important for Gibraltar to get a shooting opportunity. Joelle just slows it down, but can't stand there. You cannot stand there. Yeah, well tried, Israel Centre, because really that ball didn't deserve to get to Joelle Marino then. But Gibraltar got the shot, and it goes up to 47-16.
So down to the last few seconds of this quarter. Will Gibraltar get it in? Not aware of the score. Oh, I think the poser there was aware where the scoreboard was, but unfortunately colleagues around her didn't quite realise that. But very convincing quarter. I think you're right, Gibraltar did improve in that quarter as the game went on. We now have a game which has Gibraltar on 47 goals, Israel on 16. Although again, passages of play, defensive pressure by Israel, probably doesn't really reflect itself in that score.
No, I think there's been a real improvement in Israel since watching them last year in Newcastle. I think they're working a lot better in their structure. They look stronger both physically and mentally, and defensively I think they've been doing an awesome job.
And the Israel team will be pleased that there are many people back home watching. I'm just going to give a shout out to, and apologies if I get your name right, so Dovi Olwen, you're watching there, I can see at home with your family. Hope you're enjoying the netball. It looks like smiles all round. I'm sure you're very proud of your team out here today. So Maggie, last 15 minutes coming out. It looks like both teams might be running some changes. If you were sitting on the Gibraltar bench right now, what do you think your advice would be to the team?
I would be demanding that they have to be able to look and see where the free space is when they're feeding the ball. They need to get the ball onto the circle edge, and they need to ensure that the shooting opportunities. At the end of the day, then the shooters, it's up to them to put the ball in the net. But actually, for a while, the shooters just weren't even getting the ball. So it's important for mid-quarters. They're turning over lots of balls, some good rebounding. Let's get the wing attack right down the court. And even Joelle Marino at centre, she does a lot of good work in the centre area, but let's give her the confidence, get her down there so there's more options around the circle edge.
So probably quite a firm conversation would be happening down there now, and Sue will probably be doing the same thing, I would, would guess.
Yeah, she's definitely talking to the attacking players, and actually it's interesting that they're talking as a team now rather than in the units. And I think that says it all, really, that as a team they've got to work and remind each other, which is great. Good coaching from that point of view.
Good. And then we turn to our colleagues on the other bench, to Israel. What do you think the coach should be saying down there?
I think they'd be saying, right, okay, let's look. I don't like aiming for goals or anything like that, because I think that takes the pressure away, but actually let's be patient, give the goal attack a chance to get free, and then feed the ball in. Let's land properly, try not to get onto one foot. Let's get ourselves balanced before we try and pass the ball. I think once they're balanced, then they make the accurate passes. It's when they put themselves under their own pressure, and give them the confidence. I think Israel should be, the coaches, I'm sure, are saying, actually girls, you're doing a good job, you're really working hard, let's keep that focus another 15 more minutes, but we need to get ourselves balanced before we pass the ball.
And of course we talk about everybody who's involved in making a game of netball possible. Our two umpires on the court today, having a good game.
Yeah, And I mean, also, we've got James as a reserve as well, all experienced Super League coaches, umpires, and they'll be busy on Monday night, I'm sure. Apparently none of them are umpiring the Sirens game. I did ask if they were staying up in Scotland, but they're not. But they are being supported by 2 umpiring assessing members, as in Judith Groves and Margaret Deegan, who are literally watching every game and giving feedback to every umpire every time they come off the court. So all credit to the umpires managing it. It is all about managing the game. We've seen a lot of it in Super League this year, is how they're managing it. You'll notice, if you're not used to netball, that every time the ball is slightly out of play, they will stop the clock now, which I think is a new thing over the last 2 or 3 years, much more than it ever used to be.
Stops wasting the game as a tactic potentially for some of the players. So here we go, the last quarter of our very exciting first game of 14 here this weekend at the Netball Europe Open Challenge and Under-21 event in sunny Aberdeen, here at the Aberdeen Sports Village.
Yeah, Gibraltar have definitely made some changes. They've put Pozo back to goal shooter, and I think it's Joel Marino in at goal attack. Sadly, Pozo and Marino just didn't quite link in then, and Israel could turn the ball. Got some good moves, 2 against 1 situation. Yeah, well played, good screening, allowing. I was about to say allow the shooter to take a step, but she literally did take a step then.
I remember when I was playing 1 or 2 years ago, one of the things that you had drilled into you by your shooting coaches was about what happens that very first time you get the ball in the circle for your very first shot, whether it's the start of the game or a quarter when you come like that. And that psychological impact is so important, isn't it? Not only for you, but it's also the impact on the rest of the team and the confidence it goes and it creates.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's, if you know that the shooter's going to put the ball away, gosh, that gives you such a lift at the back.
So as the viewers can see, we've had some changes to this quarter. So for Israel, we have a shooter, Gordon is on. Aziz Kamar has gone to wing defence. And I'm just looking to see if, Segev has come on at centre. So not only is she an effective defender, she's actually taking to the court in the centre role. So a real test of her leadership now.
Well played goal defence for Israel. Great turnover and tip. She's had a good game.
We have more viewers back home watching. It's great that you and I cannot be seen on there, Maggie, which is great, but then the netball's out there. So Chloe CD supporting Gibraltar. So assuming you're somewhere on the rock this night with your sister Alex, welcome. I hope you've enjoyed the match this evening, and certainly enjoyed watching Gibraltar play so far. There was a great turnover. Again, that sort of awareness of the court, great body positioning.
Yeah, Israel, you've just got to be aware that and just look where the defenders are, where the opposition is, because those diagonal balls, you just can't be standing still and taking those diagonal balls.
So we have a quick look at the changes for Gibraltar at 3/4 time, with the score, them leading 49-16. Got Janice Marino at centre. Joelle has now dropped from wing attack back into goal attack. We have Pozo has dropped from goal attack back to goal shooter, and a new wing attack on, which is Nunez.
Yeah, and all 4 of those there. That was a lovely quartet then, attack, led by the wing attack. Really great turn. Yeah, good second phase of the centre pass, which head towards the goal. And that's exactly what you want. Textbook centre pass. Well done, Gibraltar. Yeah, Israel just need to read the goalkeeper coming out really well there, because there was another option, because it was a really well committed by the shooter for Israel. which then creates the space for somebody else. But there you go again. Super dodge by Comer, and well done.
It's good timing by Gibraltar, moving the ball around the court. Oh, and it did go through. Now, one of the things that funding gives teams the luxury of is how early they can come over to compete in a tournament like this. And we've seen both these teams here tonight. Israel, Gibraltar only arrived yesterday. Gibraltar, probably the travel is not as significant as it was for Israel, but with the time difference and everything, to come yesterday, to be on the court first thing this morning, to be playing their first match tonight, it's quite a big ask for everybody, isn't it?
Yes, and with all the nerves that go on with it as well, I think it is a big ask. Gibraltar only got into the hotel about 10:11 last night, so yeah, there will be some tiredness, but it's not obvious, and that was, well done there again by the Gibraltar goalkeeper. She really is committing herself well to any balls that are coming out. Good by Changford again.
I think if we looked at the number of turnovers that Israel have created, it would be quite significant. But their percentage conversion to goal is probably what's not narrowed the score as much as it might do.
Yes, that was a really good example, actually.
So just under 9 minutes to go here. We've got a 35 goal gap. It looks more or less like both teams have been able to get almost their full squads out, which will be a good advantage for the weekend.
Yeah, I think it was important that happens, actually, so they can get rid of those nerves this evening. It shouldn't be automatic, and I'm sure neither coaches would have promised that to their players. But nevertheless, Gibraltar, with the score they had, they need to look at different units in case there's injuries. And with Israel, I think it's just looking at how are each individual coping in this environment, really.
Well, Maggie, as we suspected, our friend President Moira Gomez is watching down below, and she's saying loving the game. She hasn't said she's loving the commentating, I have to say. She's sending both Maggie and myself a big hug from all Gibraltar netball fans.
And it goes back to her, tell her. Really hard working, isn't she, chair and of Gibraltar, and how hard she works out there.
Well, I've been involved, lucky to be involved in Netball Europe for 12 years now, and Moira's been in Gibraltar longer than that. So the impact people like her and Suzette and others have is what's led to the type of play that they're putting out now. That just doesn't happen. It's not a coincidence, it's not luck, it's down to the hard work of all those people.
And I do firmly believe they understand performance, and actually they're prepared to use some of the grants and so on to support and develop and make Gibraltar grow. And I mean, you mentioned Suzette. I remember when we had the under-17s there last year, she was the one in charge of the ice baths, ensuring they were clean, changed. So they really do roll the sleeves up, as well as being very important strategic netball committee members.
There's no I in team.
Well done, Pozo. She's finishing as she's starting. I can completely understand why she's been left on the court for the whole time. She really has got a future.
I think most teams would be pleased to have a player of her calibre at only 17 years of age.
Exactly.
That's a great ball in.
Yeah.
And finished off effectively. They're capable of that, aren't they? They've got it in them, Israel. They just need to perhaps get their consistency.
Yeah, if they can just wait and let the goal attack lose her player, she loses them so easily, but they just can't force that ball in.
So Maggie, if you and I were choosing player of the match, which clearly we're not, who would you say stood out for you from Israel first?
I think clearly Naomi Comer is one. I think she really does have a very sound impact. I do think the vice captain Dominique Changfoot is another one who really has worked at the goal defence position, and she started off at goalkeeper. So those are my two players at the moment. I think who had an impact.
And for Gibraltar,
I think we have to mention Posa. At the end of the day, she's been putting the shots away. She's been working change direction. I think Joelle Marino has been a real centre court. I think she'll be disappointed with some of the errors that she made in that third quarter, but she's turned over balls significantly. I mean, when Victoria Cross was on the court, she was another wing defence who also did the same. I think with Gibraltar is a little bit more of a team. You know, there's quite a few, but I think those are the two or three that I would pick out.
Okay, well, we will see on Sunday when the player of the tournament for each of the competitions is announced, whether you got it right in terms of the coach's views.
Oh, I doubt it. We'll see. Yeah, lovely play. Well played. Really nice. That's mature netball, that link going through the court. The coaches for Israel will be really pleased with that kind of netball. And that for me is not what I saw in Newcastle last year. So the structure is really improving. I think the coaches should be really, really pleased.
And another interception down there, Israel.
But now we need to lay it off because we're running out of players. And that's the trouble. Don't force it in. And we did. I think that's what they need to work on.
There almost needs to be that centre court player who just goes, hold the ball. A bit like Marino was doing for Gibraltar when she was in that position.
Yeah, because it's very dangerous from a ball coming out the back to throw it to a goal attack in mid-court, because actually there's not many players ahead of her other than the shooter. So it's just one of those strategic we need to do is just lay it back, lay it off, and then allow everybody to settle and get back in.
So we just saw goal attack, Joelle Marino there for Gibraltar, putting goal away. Gibraltar now just shy of 60 goals, 58 at the moment against Israel 19.
It'd be good to see if both can get into the next into the 60s and the 20s.
So how are these teams going to fare against Bermuda? They're not a team we've seen over here, so first time over. It's going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be interesting to see Israel against Bermuda, because both of them are in the rating category. Bermuda are desperately wanting to get ranking games, so which is great why they accepted the invitation to come over, which is super. A completely different style. They admit that they're developing. And
the only way they will develop, though, is to come to competitions of this nature, surely.
Yeah. And really great question I had by one of the manager today. They wanted to speak to the umpires because obviously their players are not used to perhaps this level of umpiring in Bermuda at the moment. So they wanted to know what key messages they need to give their players, so the players can have some learning before even getting on the court. So you can understand real good structured development, which was great to hear around the managers' meeting today.
And of course we know that for those teams that are performing really well in the world and are top ranked in the 16, you know, there's the opportunity to go to the World Netball Cup, the World Youth Cup, Commonwealth Games. But for many of the teams here, there isn't that equivalent world competition. And I guess one of the things we debate in Netball Europe quite frequently is should there be? And actually, if these teams are ever to catch up and develop and achieve their potential, they need to be playing competition as well. And Netball Europe, we put on 3 events. We're reliant on our hosts like Netball Scotland and other countries to do that. But how can the netball world really kind of grip that opportunity, that untapped talent which clearly exists?
Yeah, it's a really good question. And I mean, you've got the Republic of Ireland, who in June are playing Barbados, they're playing Singapore. They are desperate to try and get further up, and they go over and play those countries in order to try and up their ranking and improve, because I think Ireland are possibly disappointed that perhaps we haven't managed to get a Grenada or an equivalent, which was a higher ranking team than them this year, but that wasn't the case. So when I spoke to Joan Young, the head coach, last night, for her it's about, we've got to make sure we perform this weekend in order to prepare So when they come up against Gibraltar, both teams are going to be really quite demanding. The coach is going to be demanding of their own teams, I feel.
So here we are, we're into the last minute. So Israel have hit the 20 mark. Is Gibraltar going to do the same with 60? Less than 40 seconds to go. And Marina takes that opportunity, puts the ball up. So nice round scores on the scoreboard there, 60-20 at this moment in time.
If they can keep possession now and take it to goal.
There you go, 17-year-old with that composure and confidence.
It's incredible. In 24 seconds, it's possible to score 2 goals, and just need to now
get it in.
Yeah, they didn't even need to force it then. They just an extra pass, and that would have worked. But well done, both teams.
So a great start to the Netball Europe event this weekend. Gibraltar have taken the first match of the tournament, 61 against Israel's 20, the first of 14 games to go. Who will see who will win the 3 competitions we have here. So the 2 teams here tonight are playing in the Open Challenge. Bermuda will compete with our 3 member countries for the Invitational Open, and clearly Bermuda can't be the Netball Europe champions because they're not from our region. And of course we have our under-21 competition from the 4 UK countries who are using this in preparation for Botswana in July.
Yep, and that kicks off tomorrow, along with some remaining challenge countries also playing. So we'll see tomorrow morning Bermuda and Gibraltar, that we haven't seen, Bermuda and Ireland, which we haven't seen. And then we start seeing the 4 UK countries as well playing the under-21s. And I mean, preparation for Botswana is really important, and this weekend it's going to be exciting to see them playing.
Because normally as Netball Europe we don't run an under-21 event this year, we normally run it in October. And the great thing about working with our member countries is we put on the events that member countries want, and actually we've changed it quite significantly this year to try to support the international calendar for countries like England, Scotland, Northern Ireland and Wales.
And very, very important. It was the members wanted an under-21 before Botswana, and that's exactly what we've done. So now we'll run the Open Championship section in October down in Cardiff.
So a good start to the game. More of the weekend to come for the viewers back home. So don't forget, those of you out there, please keep sending in your tweets and telling us where you're watching, what you're doing, and sending the photographs. We will try to reflect as many as we possibly can. So remember the hashtag this weekend, hashtag NE Love Netball, which is what we all do very, very much. Now, final thoughts, Maggie.
I think Israel should be really pleased with the start they made today. I think Sarah Pius in Gibraltar, I think they'll be really pleased for a good game, and they'll be looking as making a good start. So I think both teams a good start this evening.
So plenty more action to come over the next few days. This has been a Netball Europe and QTV Sports coverage in association with Visit Aberdeenshire and Inspire Sport. Maggie, my thanks to you. It's been great to have you here this evening. And as I said earlier, special thanks to all of you at home for watching. From all of us here at the Aberdeen Sports Village, very good night.